Last week we talked about Miss Charity talked about when weight loss stalls. So it was week 18. So first I want to ask is, does anyone have any questions or comments about your action plan from last week? How did your week go? How did your weekend go? Any trouble with that at all that anyone wants to share? Any challenges? Okay, so today we're going to talk about the link between sitting still and type 2 diabetes. So I actually found this one pretty interesting because this is actually something that I personally battle with. It's something that I have never really thought about before, but our session focus today is taking a 2-minute fitness break every 30 minutes and how that can help us prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. So, our objectives today, we're going to talk about two things, a lot of things, but two main things, and that being the link between sitting still and type 2 diabetes, and also the challenges of taking fitness breaks and the ways that we can go ahead and plan on coping with these. So, if everyone has their printout, great, and if not, they are listed on the website. So, today we're going to talk about Terry's story. So, since we are virtual, I will go ahead and read the first 4 paragraphs of that. So, Terry is at risk for type 2 diabetes. Her doctor asks her to be active for at least 150 minutes a week at a moderate pace or more. Over time, she reaches that goal. Terry's doctor then asks her to start tracking the time she spends sitting still. And here's what she finds. In the morning, Terry sits while on the train to work. She spends most of the workday sitting at her desk using her computer. Sometimes she talks on the phone or has a meeting, also sitting. She eats her lunch at a table in the staff room. After work, she takes the train home, and later that evening, she watches TV. So when Terry adds up all of that time, she is surprised by what she learns. It turns out that she sits still for about 12 out of the 16 hours that she's awake. So even though she gets her 150 minutes of activity a weekend, Terry spends an awful lot of time sitting still. So when you put it like that, it kind of puts it into a different perspective. So for me personally, I never thought about it until I read Terry's story. I currently am a nurse practitioner, but I am a new grad, so I just finished school. And throughout school, I sat here in my house a lot doing paperwork, computer work, studying, reading books. And before I knew it, sometimes hours, sometimes even 6 hours would pass. And I was, if I type a little more, then I'll get to a stopping point. Or I would tell myself, just another hour of this, another hour of that. And next thing I know, half the day is gone and I have not moved from the seat that I'm sitting in. And that's just not good. So what they are recommending is that sitting still is bad for us. So the studies have actually shown that the more time we spend sitting still, the greater we are at risk of health problems, and not just type 2 diabetes. That is obesity, heart problems, and actually certain cancers that they have found as well. So experts are saying that it's important for us to get out of our seat 2 minutes every 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, that means get up and move around for 2 minutes. So the break does not necessarily need to be long or vigorous. It doesn't have to be any kind of, hardcore activity. The key here is just to move. So we'll go back to the story, and I'll go ahead and read the last paragraph of how Terry handles this and what she decides to do. So Terry decides to take action. These days, she still gets her 150 minutes of activity each week in, but she also spends less time sitting down. She uses an app on her phone to remind herself to take a 2-minute fitness break every 30 minutes. She stands up during part of her train ride. At work, she walks around her office while she talks on the phone and uses an exercise ball at the computer. Terry feels better than ever. So, it's been several weeks of us doing this program. So by now, of course, we all know we probably have burned into our brains 150 minutes every week, which 30 minutes a day. So we don't think about, sometimes we think that 30 minutes, I got to get that 30 minutes in today. And we do, but we don't think about the rest of the hours during the day. So we need to get the 30 minutes in a day, but we also need to be adding 2 minutes every 30 minutes just to move. So that is not included in our 30 minutes a day. That's basically just extra. So just think about it as getting our blood flowing every 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything vigorous. So let's think about a minute. What could we do for a 2-minute fitness break? Just say right now, while we're on this meeting, what could we do for a fitness break? So let's think about what we have around us in our area right now. Does anyone want to share any ideas?
One could just walk in place, like they sometimes recommend that you do with during the TV commercials or other times that you may be doing one activity but have little small breaks in there. So even walking in place or walking around outside might be something practical, even if you're on your phone for this presentation.
That's a great point, Miss Rebecca. Absolutely.
I'm driving in the car, you can always pull over and stop, get out, walk around the car a couple of times, take that break, like if you have a long car ride or a drive, definitely, like I said, just take that break up to the side of the road and just kind of walk and do that as well.
That is an excellent point, Kayla. I love that because a lot of us have long commutes to and from work. So, me personally, it takes me at least 40 to 45 minutes to get to work. So by the time you do that twice a day, that really adds up. Anyone else?
What about stretches or arm rotations?
That's a great idea as well, Miss Sheila. So I know a couple of weeks ago when we were kind of discussing this topic and thinking about it, it was either Miss Rebecca or Miss Angel had they thought of the idea where if you're in your office and if you have packs of paper, you could lift the packs of paper, marching in place, invisible jump rope, jumping jacks. I mean, it could be simply touching your toes a couple of times and then sitting back down. We could also post sticky notes to remind us because sometimes it is so easy, especially with all of the COVID pandemic and all of that. We've kind of diverted more to online meetings. A lot of us have, and we have not been used to that. So we could simply remind ourselves with sticky notes. We could do phone reminders because it is so easy to want to meet those deadlines and, stay involved with what you're doing. And next thing you know, time has really slipped up on us and we've been sitting still. So those are all great ideas. So now that we have those ideas, let's discuss some challenges of taking fitness breaks. So we have those. What may be challenging right now about taking a 2-minute fitness break every 30 minutes? Other than we, or kind of limit it to 1 hour on here.
Well, sometimes you may just be in a situation where you really can't necessarily move very much. You may be in a meeting or something that's live, and you couldn't get up and do something because it'd be distractive to the others. So that could be a challenge. If it were an online meeting, I guess you could stand up and do a little better, but it just depends on the situation, or if you're in the, I guess, in the moment with any type of activity going on.
I was just thinking about in the vehicle, sometimes you may not have a safe place to stop, or may not have somewhere on the side of the road that would be a safe place for you to get out of the car and move around.
And sometimes I feel guilty. I can get up and move around, but sometimes I think I just walked, 30 minutes ago or an hour ago. And sometimes I think, okay, am I taking away too much time from what I should be doing? So that's been a challenge for me, overcoming those thoughts.
Right, Miss Sheila, and also Kayla, that was a great point as well. So sometimes we are very devoted to our work and our jobs, and it definitely can be challenging to be swept up in that and want to meet those deadlines. But we definitely cannot feel guilty about it, because the studies are proven, and we have to know that we have to take care of ourselves. That way we can do our jobs to the best of our abilities.
Sometimes if you could include a work activity with your walking, like if it's time to move around for a couple of minutes, go to the mailroom, pick up the mail, come back, and that's kind of related, or you needed to deliver something to somebody, if you had any type of package or something physical that they needed that you couldn't email or something, then you could take that to them the next time and just kind of have a scheduled twofer, I guess.
Right, and that's a great point as well.
I think another challenge I have is a lot of these have been work related is at home. When you are at work 8 to 9 hours, and a lot of our work is mental based, so it's not that we're physically tired, we're just mentally tired. And when I get home, I just tend to pick up my phone and I zone out, and before I know it, it's been 2 hours on Facebook or checking email or doing this or that. So I'm guilty of just sitting still when I get home. So that's a trap for me. So my kids, they're good to kind of distract me or get me up, or I'll try to go out and play with my pet to break up just sitting when I get home.
Paige, that is an excellent point. I feel that in my bones. I do the same exact thing sometimes, and I have to consistently remind myself, even if I'm reading an article, one thing leads to another, and next thing I know, I click on this, and then it leads me to this, and then, and next thing I know, yeah, 2 hours have passed, and I've been sitting there reading, doing nothing but reading. So that's an excellent point as well, especially in the days of technology. We are on our phones. They're great. I mean, we use all of those apps and everything for so much, and they're very beneficial. But it has gotten to the point where we have to remind ourselves that it does not need to be an all-time thing. Y'all, I'm so sorry. I have completely forgot to go through these slides. Okay, so this slide here, this would be a good example, a little activity that you could do to really sit down and think about, well, how much did I sit yesterday or today? So in your free time, when you think about it, write down when you sat yesterday, from the time you woke up to the time you went to bed. So here's a good example right here. 6:30 in the morning, woke, 8 to 8:20, drove to work. 8:30, sat at work, emails, meetings, projects. Then, of course, you have lunch in front of the computer. And then 12:45 to 4:30, basically worked some more. And then 5:30, drove home, walked from 6 to 6:30, 9 to 10, TV, and then bed. So that really adds up. So sitting is associated with the greater risk of diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and some forms of cancer as well. So we discussed this, what we could do right now. Miss Sheila said that she could do arm rotations, or that she was doing arm rotations right now. Miss Rebecca mentioned jogging in place or even walking in place, toe touches, jumping jacks. Even when we're watching TV, we could do leg raises. Like Kayla said, we could, if we're driving, we can take a break if possible, if safe, if it's a long drive, of course. If not, then we'll just catch up for it when we get home. I don't think the studies have proven that. It's technically every 30 minutes, 2 minutes. But certainly, if you don't feel safe, don't just pull over on the side of the road just to do a 2-minute fitness break. And we talked about the challenges. So now we're all used to doing our action plans. We know that that's one of the most important parts about the weekly and now every 2-week program is to make an action plan and to stick with it. So we want to remember that we want to be realistic, doable, specific, and flexible on all of our action plans. So we will go ahead and make an action plan. What I will do, where I'll do it, when I'll do it, how long I will do it, the challenges that we discussed, and your personal challenges that you may face, and then the ways that we can overcome these challenges. Any questions so far? Comments, questions?
Rayford, you got anything that you see through the years of working with your patients that they tend to do well with? Any specific action plans that maybe work out a little better for them when they get the right size goal versus maybe a goal that's a little too lofty to begin with? In the chat box, I see, it just slipped away, but let me go back to it, that someone has written, I have to get to active as soon as I get home from work. A little break right after I get home turns into a longer period of sitting. So I know I've heard folks say they try to do something before they go in the house or get settled for the night. I think Dr. Rayford maybe even has said he keeps a gym bag and gym clothes handy so that you're able to go to the gym without any delays of having to stop and get anything.
Yeah, those are some of the things. I mean, go back to goal setting. Really being able to reevaluate your goal and seeing if it's too big for the moment. Sometimes, many times life happens, worldwide pandemic, job changes, family changes, and so many times the goal might end up being too big for the situation, and just being okay with that, being open to needing to change it and refine it, and just being able to realize that, look, if you're continuing to try, and continuing to think about your health, whether or not you have a big goal or not is not as important as just kind of your attention. Well, I'm going to do what I can. Now, in terms of like activity, you're right. Being prepared, understanding what what your tendency is. Unlike most people, if I come home, it's unusual for me to want to exercise, although it's gotten different. I have some exercise equipment at home that I've used more, so I can exercise at home if I want. But being prepared, having gym clothes available, having I have 2 gym memberships, one on each side of town, the north side of town and the south side of town, so that I can, just so that I can, be able to be as flexible as possible. I mean, but you know, that's if you're able to handle that. For me, it's not a huge kind of deal, and it helps me with my accountability. So I said it's worth an investment for me. Um, but just some of those little things, some of the problem solving, and when you get down to it, the solutions that really will work will be solutions that are very specific for you. So I couldn't use Rebecca's solutions. Some may work. So I may have some of Rebecca's solutions, some of some other folks' solutions. But at the end of the day, they will really have to be targeted and specific to, what I need, what my strengths are, what the challenges are. And and once you do that, you'll and start seeing some success. It'll be it'll be it'll be reinforcing and kind of keep you motivated.
So sometimes, just different times of the year, different gyms will offer specials on their membership. Sometimes the first of the year is people are making resolutions. Sometimes, mid-year they may offer a month for free or a trial to see if that's something you would do, because some people like the indoors workout, and the availability of those exercise specialists that may be there, or trainers, somebody to help them be accountable or guide them or make sure they're properly exercising and using the equipment. And then other people are more, it's too much trouble for me to get to the gym and park and in and out and all. I'd rather, find a different way. So, just look around where you live, your yard, your home. Is there a place you can put a yoga mat to do exercises that you may could pull up online a certain video, yoga or other exercises or videos, and do them really at your leisure. Many of them are, I guess, live online now, depending on what type membership you may have, so that it's different each time. It's live, it's other people, but it's really at a time more convenient to you. Let me see, I see something else in the chat, so let me get over there and see. Snap Fitness is offering, I guess, a membership now for teachers and frontline workers, they wrote. And then sometimes, I know May's employee month, employee health and wellness month, so sometimes employers may somehow incentivize employees to, with reduced cost memberships if they have a gym as part of their work environment. Many places now do have some type workout equipment or time allowed, time for walking or walking tracks out back to encourage their employees to be healthy. Many are employing kinesiologists and others to be on site for their workers before or after shift, or even during shift, and have an exercise class while they're at work, and ergonomically correct movements so that decrease injuries and things. So always thinking safety, and not overuse of a set of muscles, or too frequent, but that you have it kind of spaced out and at the appropriate beginner level or medium level, depending on where you are, because there's nothing that will set you back worse than an injury from overuse or overstrain when you're trying hard, and then all of a sudden you have to have that break of rest and repair, and you're not able to exercise much at all.
You both made great points. So, Dr. Rayford, I love how you pointed out being prepared. That's what I love about these action plans, because for myself personally, when I have it written out, it's right there in front of me. Sometimes if I don't write something down, I'm going to forget it, or it may not happen. So I love having it written out in front of me and being prepared for those challenges. So, challenges are going to happen. So what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead, think it through, and know what the plan is. And then, I love using personal experience, because I think that's the best. But for me, if I'm working from home, this may sound silly, but I have to remind myself to not get too comfortable, because I know that if I have my house warm, or if I am warm, I'm going to get comfortable and I'm probably going to sit there longer than what I should. So I turned my house real cool because I do not like being cold. So I know I'm not going to get comfortable that way. And I'm more, I'm going to get up and move around more than what I would. So it's just kind of finding those little ways. And consistency is key. So like Dr. Rayford mentioned, it doesn't have to be anything big, but be consistent with it. And let's do it every single day. And then the next thing you know, it just will become part of your lifestyle. And we'll be doing all of this without even thinking about it. It will pretty much become a great habit.
I was reading something today that was talking about something like if you saved $1 a day, you'd have $365 at the end of the year extra. It was just talking about small little changes, but the cumulative effect. And it was using just a variety of examples of saving money or walking, how much you would have in a whole year you would have walked if you just did this many minutes a day. So sometimes just sitting down and saying, looking at the big picture, the cumulative effect of how it seemed like very little at first, it really didn't even disrupt your day to embed certain things. But at the end of a month or 6 months, which we almost are with this program, or a full year, that you really are making more progress than you appreciate from the beginning. It's just those small steps, but with being steadfast with it and consistent with it, and to where it's habit, it's routine. You don't have to think about it. You just naturally move more because that's what you do versus sitting more.
Absolutely, Miss Rebecca. So today we discussed taking a 2-minute fitness break every 30 minutes throughout our day. We also discussed the link between sitting still and type 2 diabetes and some challenges and ways that we can cope with these as they arise. So does anyone have any questions or comments about today's discussion? So next time, which will be in 2 weeks, since we're on the 2-week now, which will be June 8th, we will talk about staying active to prevent type 2. So we are going to make our action plan today, and in the next 2 weeks, we are going to work on this. And then at the beginning of the June 8th discussion, we can talk about some of those challenges that we face and how we overcame those. So if there are no more questions or comments, I hope everyone has a great Memorial Day weekend and stay safe. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And I will give it back over to Miss Rebecca.
Good deal. Thank you all for joining us again. The goal of this entire program is to help prevent diabetes and those at risk. And even if one necessarily isn't at risk for diabetes, this type information can help everyone hopefully lead a little healthier life, be a little more active, make the best choice we can with our options that we have for our foods, and simply improve our own health by our own lifestyle choices and activities, because that's the one thing that no one else really can do for you. They can provide you information, they can provide you support and encouragement, but it's up to me if I walk every day. It's up to me what I eat, and there'll be good days and bad, and better choices and worse choices. But that consistency and kind of building momentum is what's going to help overall. So we hope everybody that this has helped you build a little more momentum toward your own health. And as we're kind of spacing out the meetings, it's not wanting to space out the support at all, but still during that time, if you need to reach out to us via the email or anything that we can help you with, we're happy to help, or help you with your action plan, or answer any questions that pop up. Feel free to do that. But we hope everybody, makes as good a choices as you can with the available options. And like she said, have a great holiday, be safe, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.